Hey, it's Jen. You're listening to Empath Woman Awaken podcast episode number 7, where I'm joined by my soul sister and friend, Intuitive Business Strategist, Melanie Scott. We are talking about how important it is as an empath to be intentional with our space. I love how Melanie puts it. That as empaths, we're always trying to stuff. We're always stuffing because we don't want to feel so much. Whether we use food, stuff, spending, what I call retail therapy, we're just stuffing. And by clearing out our physical environment, it allows us to see like, hey, I can handle this. I can face this. It's kind of a way that you just get to notice your thoughts, and then you get to decide what you want to keep and what you don't. And so we are going to tie this in today, and we are going to tie it in together about how you get to choose what you think, what you feel, and get to decide what you want to keep and what you don't. And as an empath, I love this because you get to decide what thoughts are your own and what thoughts are other people's that are running the show. Welcome to the Empath Woman Awaken, the podcast that helps you uncover and realize your greatest potential. I'm your host and creator, Jennifer Lewis. After losing 82 pounds, I realized my greatest potential. Once insecure, afraid, and depressed, I now confidently embody my gifts, who I am, and what I feel called to do. I've built an international coaching practice and founded a federally recognized 501c3 nonprofit. I'm here to help you stop hiding and embody your greatest gifts so you too can unlock your greatest potential and achieve whatever it is you set your mind to achieve. This is Empath Woman Awaken. Thank you for joining me today, Melanie. I'm so excited to have you here. We've had this pre-conversation and we've been chatting, but we're going to just start over like, hey, we're starting from the beginning. So if you could maybe just take a minute to introduce yourself to my listeners and tell them what you're all about. Share with them just about you as a person and maybe how you got into this work and why it means so much to you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm so happy to be here and helping you with your mission and impacting so many lives. So when people ask me to describe myself, I like to describe myself. The simplest way is I'm a seeker. And so I love to learn, I love to grow, and then I love passing along resources to others. It totally lights me up. I genuinely believe we all grow and we move forward together, especially as women. So the work I do in the world is I work with female entrepreneurs on their business. And something that I've done in the past is I worked in a similar context. Intentionality is everything to me. So my business is an intentional business, and that's around guiding these entrepreneurs to not just create any business, but create a business that's really aligned to who they are. And we do it with intentionality for the purpose of having an impact. So when I tell you, I'm saying that context because in the past, I had a business called Intentional Spaces, and where I worked one-on-one with clients in their home to create a home that's beautiful and has a strong intentionality. Although I no longer do that, that's one of the talks that I often am requested a lot is around the physical space, because I believe the inner is a reflection of the outer. And so it's something I'm super, super passionate about. So everything I do is through the lens of like my mission, why I'm here this lifetime, I believe is to wake people up, to leave that cultural box, right? Connect to their truth and follow the calling of their heart and create and grow something from there. And I love the world of energy. And I think in ways that we can use energy in order to help us, it's there, it's available, it wants to be of service. So I'm all for stepping in and using that.
That was so powerful. It's like I'm sitting here with these chills in my body, and I'm sure the same thing is happening with our listeners, because it's there's this pull. Don't you feel like there's this pull of this awakening of really women are feeling the need, but they don't know what it is exactly. They just know that something is drawing them forward, calling them forward. And we each have this purpose. We're meant to be doing something. And how do we intentionally stop living in fear and in hiding and blocking what's trying to come forward? How do we do that? And I love that you use that how we feel on the inside is going on the outside is absolutely a reflection of what's going on in the inside. I say that all the time with our weight, right? It's just a barrier of protection. It's that stagnant energy that really is just keeping us stuck. So how do you create that intention of clearing that space and really creating what I think of as a safe space, right? Because so oftentimes my listeners, they're trying to stuff down how they feel. I call it numbing out. How do we stop buffering? How do we stop numbing that out and allow that to come forth? How do we intentionally do that through our space?
Yeah, so I think there's different layers to that question.
Okay.
How do we add intention to our space is simple. Intention is so simple. It's literally, it's energy and action. So it's literally just saying, how do I want to use this space? It's having that energy towards it. And then you don't have to focus on it and keep coming back to it. It's there and it knows. The deeper question around, okay, how so often we do numb out, and it's what we do, right? Because the sad part is that we are not trained to process emotion. We are not trained to feel things. We're trained, you're either happy or you're sad, you're good or you're bad. Right. And hopefully that conversation is changing, but where we are now, that's not something. So I think that what's happening is we start to feel any emotion that's not like blissed out, right, and we want to stuff it because we're not trained to process it.
Yes.
And so that's the thing. And that's whether we all numb, we all, like you said, buffer, we all do that. It just comes in different ways, like the stone cold truth is my home is in order, but the stone cold truth is that I have to watch because I will turn to that food every time. I will turn to the food. Now, the idea is having the awareness around it. Like that hasn't gone away, but me practicing feeling the emotion, knowing that, here's the thing, that emotion is not going to kill me. It's probably not going to put me in the hospital, and it's probably going to pass in less than an hour. Right. So it's about, can we feel uncomfortable and feel it and process it through without having to turn externally to something else to just numb it, to not even help us process it. And that's where I love where our space, if we set ourselves up the intentionality, let's have things that can help us to process all of that.
Yes. Oh, such a powerful statement. The thought that came up is, my coaching is around finding those hidden beliefs that we've stored within our body and shining that light of awareness on them. Just bringing them to awareness is so powerful, because when you see it, it's not so scary. It's like the monster under your bed when you were a kid. You created this big story and you were afraid, but yet we have this belief system that was passed along to us, and we don't know how to deal with it. So it's this big, scary monster. But when you shine that light of awareness and you are intentional about working through your shit, basically, you've got to work through it. You got to stop ignoring it. It's not going anywhere. We have to address it and really looking at what is that story we're telling ourselves? Why are we creating this fear? Mm-hmm. And so for myself, I think back as that highly sensitive person, and I'm guessing you probably have a lot of these same qualities. We were highly sensitive, noises, sight, smell, all of those things as a child felt really uncomfortable at times, and we don't know how to process it. or we felt so deeply. As an empath, as an intuitive, we take on so much energy. We feel so much and we don't know how to process it. So growing up, I was always told, hey, you feel too much. You need thicker skin. Why is this bothering you so much? Don't cry, don't cry. Here's the ice cream, right? So what did I translate is something was wrong with me because I felt so much. But do I really feel too much, or do I feel just the right amount? I just need to learn how to manage that. How do we shine that light of awareness, right? And expose the shadows and that darkness we think is there, and it's not there. It's not what we think it is. And how do we create that safe space internally? I call it intuitive wellness, weight loss from the inside out, and really working on our stuff on the inside, then the outside automatically just starts cleaning up. However, we can be intentional. How do we do that? What steps can we take to empower ourselves to clean up our space inside and outside?
Totally. And going back to what you were saying, and I love that. And I agree. And I think one of the things that I talk a lot about is that when I say that calling, I mean the hero's journey. And for me, that is exactly what you're saying. In order to, if you look at the Joseph Campbell model of that, you've got to meet those shadows.
Yes.
And when I talk about that, I often say, it's that Rumi quote, the light enters at the wound, right? So it's like you have to know to be able to look inside and to be able to have that awareness. And so I think that's where it starts, right? That's the first step, because you can intentionally clean up your space and have your space serve you. But ultimately, so if you're able to look at the stories that you're telling yourself and the beliefs that were passed down to you, all of those things, and look at it from a place of non-attachment and as a witness, like in the Buddhist culture, they talk about the witness. And so you're looking at it through the witness and knowing it's not part of you, it's going to pass. Okay. So the first step is being willing to feel it all, because here's the caveat. When we start organizing our space and clearing our space, it's going to take time. So the first part of that is you pull everything out and you're going to actually feel what you've been feeling on steroids, because you're now pulling it out, right? And so you have to be able to process that, to understand it, to have a general idea of it. In order, again, if you follow the hero's journey, you go through it, you meet it, you see it, and then from the purging, the clearing, then it relaxes. And then at that point, now you're on a different level where you're like, okay, how is this space serving me? And just by clearing up our physical space, our home, our kitchen, our office, whatever that is, however you want it to support you, you will then begin to feel clearer. And I believe won't feel quite so overwhelmed with the emotion, and just it'll give you the awareness, because in my belief, what I feel doesn't go away.
Right.
And in any moment I can catch myself and say, okay, am I turning to this food because I want to numb, or am I turning to this because I'm hungry? Am I turning to buying another 6 dresses because I want them and need them, or because you know what I'm saying? Like it's that awareness that is everything. And so there's no right or wrong. It's just awareness. And it's not letting those stories that we tell ourselves take over. That's the thing. It's almost like coaching yourself and being accountable to yourself and saying, okay, this is my life. What's working? What's not working? And then we are the creator of our reality. And so if something's not working, but you're not willing to change it, then it's okay. But just know you have the control.
Yes. And I love that you bring that up, because so I know for myself specifically, for years I was in somewhat of a victim mentality, right? I've always been that leader, person who likes to make choices and be in control. I've been accused of that a few times, right? But that's okay. because now I understand it as a gift, where before I was shamed, shamed for being this way. And it's like, no, oh my gosh, no. Do you know what I can accomplish? Because I am a leader, because I do handle my stuff, because I'm not afraid to lead and be out in front, even though it's scary. But these stories have just shifted. And so for a little bit there, right, now my weight loss is 82 pounds. Watch out. When I was in that place, when I just felt so much shame and guilt and loneliness and disconnected, it was that disconnection. I was in that victim mentality that life was happening to me versus for me. But we are the ones that are in control. We are the co-creators. What do we want in life? And we can create that. It's step one, right? So you brought up overwhelm. When I think back, if I would have thought, oh my gosh, I've got to lose 82 pounds, that is way too overwhelming. There's no freaking way I'm going to do this. Why even bother, right? And I'd have tried a million times, probably lost the same 20 pounds 100 times. But it wasn't until I had that clear intention that I don't care, I'm doing this no matter what. My energy shifted to a commitment that no matter what. And I think of our space. I just started this purging process with my house. Oh my gosh, what a mess. I need a Melanie to come to my house and do this for me, okay? So I think of that. We have a huge mess, right? When you take everything out of the closet, like literally, I am not kidding you. I have this confession thing I have to do. I literally just took down 4 boxes in our garage that have been there for 10 years that we moved from the old house. And it was like, why even go through it? Just donate it. You don't need this. There is no point in keeping this. Mm-hmm. You aren't that same person. Why keep it? Why carry that energy? Why carry that weight that is no longer serving you?
That's the thing, is our stuff, everything has energy. And so I think that it's like everything that's in our home, everything that's in our office, every person in our reality, every thought we have, everything has energy. And so it's about intentionally clearing it for the purpose of what you want to create in your life, And so that's the thing. If it's health and wellness, maybe it's about being seen, like you were saying. And so I think it would start with having the awareness, because I do think that as women, we are not taught that. And I think that's why I love the work I do, because in working with people, I'm able to reflect to them. And then the idea is that they then begin to build that muscle of self-worth, right? And putting ourselves out there. And so it's about, like, even if you just have that intentionality, you say, you know what, I'm going to go through one room in my house and I'm just going to organize, and even having the intention that I'm willing to be seen, or I'm willing to take the next step, or it's so simple. And then knowing that it's all for the purpose of, because I think a lot of times people have a hard time, what I've seen, people have a very hard time getting rid of things, right?
Oh, yes.
Like, it's like, well, this was my great grandmother's, or this has this meaning. Well, it's like, well, if it's in your garage, did it really have meaning? Like, I'm not sure, that it really had meaning.
Exactly.
But, so to me, it's taking up energy. And like, I don't know, like I would be looking at, like, going back to your story of the bins and the boxes, is who was Jen 10 years ago? Like, I don't know, like where you're going may be different than that. So the frequency of that could be energetically holding you back. And I think that's something to really think about in terms of, like, the women that you work with and the people who are listening to this are people who are healers. And I would imagine they want to have an impact and they want to share their gifts. And so you've got to create something new. What's been in the past perhaps isn't serving right now. So then the best way is to say, okay, how can I start? And it's just like you were saying, like, just being willing to let the old go, being willing. And like, that's why I think I love the physical space, is because we can say, I'm willing to let the old go. And it sounds great. And I feel it sometimes,
Right.
but literally picking something up and like Goodwill or trash, there's something about that energetically is like, boom. It's like when you delete it, when you put a file to trash on your computer,
Yes.
like something about it that it's energetically, it's creating more to come in. And it's also telling the universe, hey, this is really hard for me. I'm willing to meet these parts of myself. But I mean business. I'm not just talking anymore. I'm willing. And I think that willingness and us taking that action, then the universe will always come and meet us and will give us what's needed.
Yes, I love that you bring that up, because so often we can say we're going to do something, right? We're going to lose weight. We're going to start that business. We're going to clear out that closet or that drawer, or we're going to save that money, right? Because the way we do one thing is the way we do everything, because it's that inner story driving our action or lack thereof. But we have to take action. It is not enough to say, I'm going to do that, or I'll get to it tomorrow. It's like, no.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. It does not have to be perfect. You don't have to have a complete understanding of how you're going to get from here to there, right? All you need to do is take the first step. And it is my belief that, and there's a knowing there, it's not even a belief. Like, I know, I've experienced, I've lived it, I've seen it. There's magic that happens when we set that intention and we're very clear about what we want and why we want it, right? That why drives so much. And that's creating that story for yourself, right? A more empowered place of action. Then it's like you take that first step, then the universe goes, okay, here you go. Here's some support. Here's some help. This is the path, right? It's like, then you have all these synchronicities that just show up and support you. But until you take the actual step with that, no matter what commitment, I love that. No matter what, I'm doing this. I know it's going to be hard. It's going to really feel crappy at times, but I can get through it. I can do this with that belief.
Yeah. And even if they're not quite there yet, because that is still a strong force of I'm committed no matter what. Yes. It could just be like, I'm open to this, or I'm willing to this.
That.
Like, it's just a little bit of a, it's a simpler way where it doesn't like shut them down. It's like, because the truth is, yes, the universe will meet you, but also you're going to get more clarity. Like, that's what I was saying to you before we started around for you, like, creating this course. It's like what I see for it is I know it's going to be valuable for your audience. And just in creating it, because you took that step, you are going to get more clear. So it's like, it gives you what's needed, what's not. If we stay in overwhelm and that stagnation, nothing can come in. And so tying that back to the physical space, I would say, like, the inner it's always a reflection. So if people like look around, and like I always say, like, look outside first. Like, so what's happening in your reality, right? And so then take that into account, and then look at your home and like be honest, like look at the drawers, look at the nooks, look at, you know what I'm saying? And if everything looks okay, freshen it up. Like, you just try to play around and you see what works for you. Like, I think everyone has a different relationship to the energy of the home. And so in my experience, most times it's not what they want. It's hodgepodge. They've got stacks of paper. They've got things to do, all these things. And so it's not, so then it's like looking at it and saying, okay, like, if this is a reflection, if this is what's happening on my inner, right? Then maybe then it gives you some information of why you're not wanting to deal with the situation with, your partner, or why you're not, moving forward with your business, or why. It's all information. And the beauty of that is there's no right or wrong. Then it's like, okay, so what would happen if I just take a drawer and clean it out with an intention? Like start with a drawer, like start with something that's really easy. Cause sometimes a closet can be overwhelming or a whole house can be overwhelming.
Yes.
But if you were to start with a drawer and just feel it and be okay with everything, and then you're gonna feel differently. Like things are gonna shift, and then that's gonna inspire you to do more. And then that's when you'll start to see the shifts in the reality and in your inner landscape.
You know, and I love that you bring that up. And there's like this little bit of like, gosh, you should have, right now I'm sitting here thinking, you should just have all your shit together, right? But here's the thing, is we don't have to have it all together. But something that really came up for me, and I'm sure for a lot of women, is that feeling of overwhelm. And I am somebody who tends to take on so much, right? And so then that is what shows up in my space, because I'm so busy over here doing all of this that I really want to do. I don't want to get to that, right? Because I'm that leader, because I am that person who tends to do things on her own, I get this idea that I have to do it all by myself. I have to figure out my shit all by myself, right? Or clean out everything by myself. But here's the beauty. There's people like Melanie who goes, let me help you. Let me simplify this for you, right? So you don't have to do it all by yourself. That we can allow other people in to support us and help us, and likely get it done a lot faster, right? Because we stop putting it off. We actually get to it. And you're somebody who has that experience, right? Who you can say, here, let's do this. Here's your action steps. This is what I want you to work on, right? That's the beauty of coaching. That, I mean, as a weight loss coach, as a women's wellness coach, I tell my clients, hey, here's your 3, right? They decide what they want to work on. It's fully them, but it's that accountability. It's that person that's saying, hey, I know you got a lot going on. You get to focus over here. You get to do what you love. And let me help you over here with these simple little guidelines that you can start working on today.
Yeah, that's good. But here's the thing. This is what, and I love that. And I think that is the accountability is key.
Yes.
What's curious for me is, and I'm all for, I know that we live busy lives. People have young kids, they've got career, there's a lot going on. And so listen, in order to get your space clear, if you need to hire a professional organizer or someone, go for it. Like I'm all for it.
Right.
With that being said, I have a good friend who just did that. And she's like, oh my God, I'm feeling the results of everything. And I said, I told you, my only caveat to that is that we need to watch. And if you look at sort of our culture, is we have a tendency, we want someone else to do it for us. Someone else to clean up our shit. We want someone else to create the program. We want someone else to save us. We want someone else, right? And so going back to how we started this, listen, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Right. But be really aware of why you're doing that. And sometimes in order to have deeper self-awareness and growth, we have to face our own stuff.
Yes.
Now, and maybe it can happen with someone else. Like, for example, in my home, I have someone who comes in and helps me and who, like, you know, cleans and everything. Right. But the truth is that I also, when things are wonky in my life, like in my house is fairly organized, things are wonky, I will just go and I'll like clean and I do it. You know what I'm saying? Because if I only relied on her, like that just doesn't work. So that would be my only thing is, yes, I'm all for simplifying and doing that and setting yourself up. But we have to, sometimes you have to go through it, you know, and there's something about outsourcing it where you're kind of like jumping over it. Now, it could work. I would love people to prove me wrong. It could work. I don't know, but it's one of those things where it's not just a one and done. Like it's maintenance. Like it's like when we're processing, especially a lot of your listeners who are empathic, it's not like they just feel things on every other Tuesday, right? It's all the time. So if you really want to get to somewhat mastering your emotions and being able to work with the energy, my sense is be up to it. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to do your whole home. Like, it's just starting small.
One step.
You're just trying to move the energy a little. You're just trying to feel it and process it without having to numb it.
Yes. And the thought that came up and tying this into weight loss for my listeners, because it's intentionally creating that space to release and fully feel what they feel, because that's what they're being called to do. But tying that in, that's why I say, I can give you the food list. I can give you the grocerying. I can give you whatever. That's why the powders, the pills, the stuff, that's why it's $1 billion industry. They know it does not work. They know the quick fix of having somebody else, right? It's this idea, this microwave way of thinking, right? You push a couple buttons and it's ready. That's what gets us into so much trouble, is thinking, oh, well, I just need to buy that food list, right? That's why I consider myself a little bit of a Trojan horse, because it's like, sure, I'm going to give you that, but then I'm going to walk you through and take you through the steps to really work on what needs to be worked on, right? Because you think, okay, well, if I just knew the right foods to eat, if I just knew what to do, or if somebody could just help me and do this for me. When it comes to weight loss, nobody can do it for you, right? Nobody can come. I mean, I guess they can, because you can go to the surgeon and he can cut some stuff out and it's done.
But even then, so if you haven't mastered it, it's going to come back. I don't know how that works. I mean, they maybe make your stomach smaller. Stomach can expand.
Exactly.
So to me, you don't get to the root cause.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's it. You have to continue to work on the root cause of what's going on. And sometimes with weight loss, it's your physicality, right? It's something going on within your body. Just like with our space, sometimes we have too much going on and we can't stay on top of it. You have to then evaluate how you're spending your time. What are you doing that maybe it's just busyness that you can fine tune and create what you truly want to create, right? And that to me is freedom. Freedom to feel, freedom to be who we are, freedom for authenticity and truly living out our calling and our purpose and serving and creating a more beautiful world. So this has been amazing, and I could talk to you seriously forever, right? I've enjoyed it so much, and I thank you, and I don't want to keep too much of your time. And so to conclude, what is maybe one tangible step that our listeners could really they could start doing today to really create that space and intentionally create a space that supports them and helps them feel the way they want to feel?
Yeah, so I would say, just in knowing that a lot of people who are listening, if they are empaths and they're struggling with their weight, I would say start in the kitchen, right? Like start in the kitchen and look and know that everything has energy. And it's like being okay. Again, there's two parts of this. It's being okay with processing the emotion, and it's knowing what's yours and what's not yours, and that it's okay. But then just to have something else to help you. Of course, you have an amazing coach like Jen who can help you with the mastering the emotion. But then there's also, how can you use your kitchen, which is the hub of our health, right? How can you use that to create success with your weight loss and wellness goals? And so really look at it and just from that witness perspective and say, okay, is this serving me? And listen, maybe everything in there is serving you. Then I would say clean it up and organize it and freshen it up and I love something called white space. Like not everything has to be so full. Like we fill everything to the brim and then it doesn't allow magic to come in. It doesn't allow more to come in. So start there and just look at it. Like maybe it's your pantry or maybe it's the fridge. Like just start there and have that intentionality. Like, okay, I'm aware that I know what to do. I have all the lists. I know how to lose weight. And I can see that I'm sensitive and I'm perhaps stuffing. And so I'm willing to feel all the emotion, and I trust my body enough that it will process out. And I'm going to use the energy of this space to help me. And so and holding that intention and just clearing it out, freshening it up, then you're going to feel, like I do this all the time. You go, well, your house is probably like this, but if I go to a friend's house who's like super healthy, and like you open up their fridge and it's like, everything's like green and colorful and juices and this. And I'm like, oh my God, this makes me want to like go on a juice cleanse tomorrow. So I think that is extreme. And like, sometimes like, it's like, if you're opening up and it's a lot of stuff and process, that doesn't make you feel good. I'm not saying you have to take it all out, but I'm just saying like, you want it to serve you and have that intentionality. Start there. Be willing to feel everything that comes up when you're clearing, when you're purging, allowing it to pass, and just building that muscle of feeling and building the muscle of allowing your space to serve your intention.
Yes, I love that. I love that. As I said, I could continue. Like, I love this. It's amazing. So I so appreciate you coming on here today and just really taking what we feel on the inside, showing up on the outside, and really acting as a mirror. We attract what we are, what we feel, right? What at that moment we're feeling, we attract that. We attract that in our space. We attract that in our relationships. We attract that in our career. And we attract that in our wellness, right? And I just love that you've given us an outside visual to really see what might be going on the inside. So much gratitude.
Here's the thing. Thank you. And it never lies. The reality never lies, and our space never lies. So the story, Listen, I'm a queen of telling myself stories. The stories that we tell ourselves, it can only go so far, because look at your reality, look at your home, and then you get to say, this is obviously what's happening on the inner, and either I fix it or I don't.
Yeah, time to clean your shit up.
Exactly.
Well, thank you.
Thanks,
friend.
Jen.
I am so grateful for you. How can my listeners, because you've got your own podcast that is amazing. You've just lined up so many powerful messages. How can we find you?
Thanks, Jenna. So I appreciate that. Yeah. So you can find everything on my website, which it's unintentionalbusiness.com, which people have trouble with the word intentional, but you can also get there through melaniescottcoaching.com. And the podcast is Intentional Conversations, and it's all about conversations to inspire people and to ignite something inside of them. So so I'd love to connect with your listeners as well. And thank you for the work that you're doing. I think that it's so essential that more and more people are working the energetic and the emotional piece, because you do both. Here's your list, and let's get to the root of it, because it's your mission. It's about sustainability. It's not a quick fix. So I honor the work that you do as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was so powerful.
Like there's so many ways, you could go, and translatable across the board.
It was perfect, because so many times, that's what happens. We're stuck inside and we can't see it, right? It's our belief. You don't see your beliefs. And so I love that you bring that in, that it's what's going on out here is a reflection. It is your mirror. And so that's a big thing in what I do, is our mirror shows up when we notice it, right? But we have to notice it. We can't just keep going through and not being intentional and aware. That intuitive woman awakening, it's like she wants to come out. She wants to guide you. She wants to help you live an amazing life, but you got to stop ignoring her. You got to stop trying to cover her up and like, shush, stay over there, stay in your little dark place, right? You're scary. It's not textbook. It's not the fit in the box way of doing things, right? For me, that's that's my story, right?
That's it. You should clip, like, seriously, you should do a whole like podcast on that right there.
Yes.
Because it's true. It's like, I love how you said that awakened woman, she wants to come out, but we're so busy stuffing, buffering, all these things that you're like, it's like, that's really good.
Okay. I'm going to listen to it and be like, okay, Jen.
Yeah, you should. Cause that was I will. And by the way, flies mean abundance. So I love the fly comment. I was like, "Ooh, bring in the money. Let's go."
Well, watch out, because I got lots of flies, because I got lots of animals, and there is a lot. I'm like, oh my God. And
I loved it. Yeah.
They've come on Facebook, and I'm like, because you're live. You can't, there's nothing you can do. I'm like,
but it means abundance. So I'm like, bring on the fly. Yeah.
All right. You're my friends. I won't smush you or try to get rid of you.
Yeah. Or just move them outside. No need to smush.
All right.
All right, Jen. Have a great day. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Alrighty, friends. I hope that you had just as much fun as Melanie and I. And I hope that you enjoyed that little piece at the end about the flies, because that wasn't actually supposed to be in the podcast, but it was so fun and so natural. And she's just so amazing and knows her stuff that I had to leave it in there. So enjoy that piece about flies and abundance. So if you're like me with the animals and have all that fun stuff running around and lots of flies this time of year, know that it's a sign of abundance. So y'all have an amazing day. Blessings and health and happiness. Continue listening to your inner wisdom. Let the Spirit lead you and guide you, and fully show up just as you are, as your authentic self, and live the life that you're being called to lead. Until next time, friends, this is Jen, an Empath Woman Awakened. And just a reminder, if you haven't done so already, head on over to MissJenLewis.com/spiritual with a capital S, and find your guide so you can stop hiding, feel confident and comfortable in your skin as you fully embody who you are, the gifts you have to share, and create the empowered life you are meant to lead. So head on over there, friends, get your guide, get on the Woman Awakened Insider list, and let's get you to living the life you're supposed to be living. One of freedom, one of love, one of joy, one of greatness. Until next week, we will see y'all later. Bye-bye. Hey there again, friend. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode of Empath Woman Awakened. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your aha moments and what really encouraged you to stop hiding and really impacted your life or that of your child's, and to where you felt more empowered to embody these gifts and truly share what's on your heart and what's on your mind, and to live just an authentic, amazing life, reaching your greatest potential. If you could leave that review over in iTunes, that would be amazing. And I also want to remind you that over on my website, MissJenLewis.com/empath, I have a very special gift for you. It is a top 10 checklist. It's the top strategies that I use on myself, on my clients, and even on my children to really help them thrive in what sometimes feels like an overwhelming world, right? We're these highly sensitive beings. Our little children are these highly sensitive beings. We have big goals. We have big dreams. And maybe we feel stuck, or we just feel restricted by these dark, like negative energies that hold us back. And if you go over there and download that, and it's free, there's no upsell or none of that crazy stuff. It's just going to be a way to really just give you a checklist and how you can live your most amazing life using these gifts and unlocking your greatest potential to show up for your highest good. So go on over there, MissJenLewis.com/empath. And until next time, y'all have an amazing day. These statements in this podcast have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, nor are they intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. In fact, if you have a chronic illness, we do recommend that you work closely with your physician before making any changes whatsoever to your wellness plan. Results are not typical and weight loss is not guaranteed. But you're not the typical person, now are you? So now go have an amazing day.